We are live 364 days a year.
What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
I'm not getting sushi after Monday Night Raw. What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. I believe we are live this time. I'm like 99% sure.
Yeah, you're right.
Everything's been pretty freaky out here when it comes to technological stuff. Way above my pay grade. I have no idea. I'm filling in for my good friend Shad. Get your twos up. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. Technical difficulties all the way across the board, not just us, but everybody. Stay safe out there. Absolutely. But let's break down some AEW Dynamite. I've got a cast and crew with me that was originally scheduled to hang out with Shad. That's cool. I'm just as fun as Shad. I think even he would admit that. And we're stoked to be here. Let me introduce them to you really quickly. First and foremost, I'll send this one out to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the home of the Liberty Bell, as you can see on his hat.
Mm-hmm.
We've got my co-host for Sold Separately, which it looks like now we can actually record on time. One show a day. You never know, right, Anthony? But happy Thursday. What's up?
Oh, it's awesome. It's always fun to do this. To cover Dynamite. And it's been a while since I've done one of these, but I wanted to do this. And Clark doesn't know this, and Archie doesn't know this, but I know Archie will get a laugh out of this. I made a purchase just before we did the show, before everything went down. Apparently, there's a game being played in Philly next Friday, and I bought tickets for it. So, Archie, I think you know them.
Oh my god!
Because they're going to be in Philly next Friday, so I won't be on the daily, but I'll be at that.
That's insane.
I wanted to at
Is it the Club World Cup?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the Nike one that I saw. I do have a jersey or kit coming.
That's insane.
It's at some point, I think tomorrow. But they offer me like I think 35% off from buying the kit. They were like, "Hey, you can get a hat for 35% off." I was like, "Okay, then I'll get the hat." So the hat came today.
That's amazing.
So I had to do that. Yeah. So I am very excited to be doing the show. Obviously, I spoiled it. Archie is the third man on this thing.
Honestly, that was clutch because,
it's me, Austin.
dude, I got kicked out of...
Clark got kicked out, so Clark missed all my things. I'll have to watch it on the replay. But the reason I switched hats, Clark, just so you know, before the show, before everything went down, I made a purchase. Archie's team is playing in Philly next Friday. I bought tickets.
You're going to the game. You're going to the game. Yes. Fair enough.
This is already the best daily ever because we've got a new Chelsea fan. So well done, Anthony.
Hey,
Archie's on Archie, you're also on the daily. Welcome to the daily, Archie. I'm back.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on the daily. That caught me off guard.
Yeah, plug all your socials or whatever, right? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Chelsea. We have two Chelsea fans now, too. I knew the AA gang.
I'm actually wearing a Rangers shirt. So I don't know why. I should have worn the Chelsea shirt.
I still have the Arsenal stuff. I still have all the stuff. I don't have
just throw that away.
Listen, I don't see anybody else supporting my team that I actually own. Clark doesn't even have the gear yet.
I don't even have gear, and I live right there.
If I had the money to buy a Phillies jersey, I would.
What's going on? Okay, let's talk about some wrestling, though, my friends. That is what we are here for. We had Dynamite last night. We had technical difficulties earlier, but this match didn't have any technical difficulties. Half an hour. Total draw. Mm-hmm. Honestly, the soccer thing, nice lead-in. Not that many sports you get draws in. That does happen to be one of them. Just saying. Hey, little known fact.
Nice job tying it all together.
You know? Yeah. And a nice, neat bow. I planned that one. I'm not gonna lie. Nope.
Yes.
But So anyway, yeah, we had a draw between these two. I could watch them wrestle all the time. This does feel like another just like main event match on a Dynamite that isn't for the title that's lost in a briefcase. But the wrestling was off the charts. That's undeniable. It was entertaining the entire time. Anthony, I'm going to get your thoughts on it, though, out of the gates here.
This is one of those things that AEW, typically, the Dynamites, have usually pretty solid opening matches. As this match was going on, obviously this could have easily been a main event. But as the match was going on, you're like, okay, they're probably going time limit draw here. As we were winding down, because it's like, all right, this is going on a bit long. Like at some point, and it's not a knock on the guys, but at a certain point, you're like, okay, it's a non-title match. It's not for anything. This is a bit much at different points. You know, the negative was that it was the draw, and it was very evident from the crowd. They were not happy with that. They were not happy with a 30-minute draw, to the point where Taz sounded quite annoyed that the crowd was booing, saying, you know, they gave everything, you know, it was the whole thing. The only thing that I wish they didn't do, I didn't have a problem with the draw. I get it. You want to build to something else. I get it. And obviously you had the crap riders beat them down and stuff, to continue that thing. But you know, could we not, with the propaganda, whether it's Ospreay or Swerve, with they have to drop, we're the best wrestle every time? Is that necessary? Can't you just do your thing? Like, is that really necessary? But no, I had no problem.
But I do hear you.
You know what I mean? Like, it's redundant.
It's a bit cliche.
I get it. It's very much WCW where the big boys play. That's all I get. And it's like, it's every time. And it's either those two or FTR. Like, it's an like, it's the constant. Like, could we just do the match and just focus on the two of you and not do the tagline? Like, is that really necessary?
Yeah. No doubt about it. I mean, I will say, by the way, Chaos is over in the comments on Instagram, and shout out to South. Shout out Chaos. And also check out Take It to the Table immediately following the daily broadcast today, if you don't have plans on your Thursday night. I hear you. I mean, I don't know. I thought the match was good enough. I think that's kind of the point of doing matches like this. There's a lot of draws that you see on Dynamite, and I think that's a good thing because you don't get them often enough. It's a third outcome, and then you can add more with like DQs and whatnot, but it's a third outcome that you don't see all the time. So I actually do like that part of it, at least.
I think it's a little rough to do on a 4-hour show, though.
Because you got, but this, I don't know. With these two, I'll let them get away with it, but I do want to get to Archie on this, Ant. I will say though, Shad is in the comments. Classic match, loved the pacing. I did really like the pacing too. It ebbed and it flowed in a cool way, right? Like it wasn't just a build to a crescendo.
Yeah,
and that suited, in my eyes, a draw result. But let's get your thoughts, Archie, and then the three of us will discuss this.
Yeah. Swerve and Ospreay, they said it before, they're like brothers, and when you're like brothers outside of the ring, most of the time that kind of translates inside of the ring. They have tremendous chemistry. I thought this wasn't as good as their Forbidden Door match. I wasn't as invested or as glued to my screen as I was for this match as I was for their Forbidden Door match. Then again, that's on a pay-per-view. But this was a great way to start a 4-hour show. I mean, a 4-hour show, it needs a match to kind of get you hyped right off the bat like this. And Swerve and Ospreay did just that. It's funny they call it AEW Summer Blockbuster, because this did kind of feel like a film where it's such a great start, and then by the end of it, you're kind of just like, you know, when is this going to finish? Because it's kind of, you're losing track of what's happening. But this specific match was a great way to start Dynamite. I do agree with Anne. I think the whole story of saving AEW, that's a really fine storyline. I mean, WWE are doing it with Cena right now and saving WWE from Cena taking away the title. obviously making Punk fly to Saudi Arabia to help save the company. And it's the same with this, but where the best wrestle, it's just kind of like they're putting a tagline. It's like, I get like there's a lot of criticisms for other companies with using too many advertisements, but it does feel like when they keep saying it, it does feel like, okay, we get it. That's the catchphrase of your company. I don't even know if they've got a T-shirt that says "Where the best wrestle."
What's fascinating to me though is because you made a great point, and it especially about the saving the company aspect.
Right.
These two are probably the two most over men's wrestlers on the roster. I would argue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Actually, if you're just going like
Hangman is in the running for, but those would be probably the top three. And Tony Storm, if you really wanted to throw in,
if everyone, I was talking men's side,
just men's side. Yes,
if we're talking the women's side, Tony Storm, no question. It is odd to me because it almost felt like a puff piece, knowing that there wasn't a winner after the fact, and I feel like that. Okay, because I've defended the draw out of the gates here. This is kind of what I wanted to get into. In hindsight, I almost would have rather had a cheap winner than the draw, because it was just a puff piece for where the best wrestle, as opposed to it was a look at how good these guys can do, and then you don't get the rest of the candy bar, which is cool in some ways, but it was early in the show.
The one thing I thought was kind of funny was that, when it did go to a draw, the crowd booed. When Swerve said the words, that's because it's the best wrestler, that actually got a pop, which is really interesting because
that's kind of cool, actually. That's true.
It's kind of weird that happened, and I'm like, it could have went the whole other way, because they could have booed louder because they didn't like the catchphrase, but it actually simmered them down, at least from the point where they were.
It did land.
Like they didn't like it.
Yeah, no,
in that regard.
I personally had no problem with the time limit draw, because I thought, these guys kind of giving their all in the ring and doing to a time limit draw. It also made that moment of Ospreay taking the bullet for Swerve that much more, which was a great moment storytelling wise, which I don't give AEW credit for it really too much, but storytelling, they were on point in this, specific aspect. I know. Thank you for that.
Never give them credit.
Always full of compliments. But no, I didn't. No, I'm not a massive fan of the where the best wrestle stuff, and I don't like the kind of that tagline being affiliated to this match. When I think the real kind of aspect, the real reason the draw happened was to make that moment between Ospreay taking the bullet mean a lot more. But yeah, it's when it's the AEW where the best wrestle, it's like, okay, we're just happy to go out there and wrestle. You're supposed to be wanting to win. You're supposed to be wanting to compete against each other. Like it's like, oh, we're just happy to be here, guys. Like we're happy to be here and we're happy to wrestle.
Good time. Let's do the team handshake.
Yeah, exactly. That's
2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate?
Everyone gets
the other team
trophy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, you get to say
up
where
the
the best
alley down the street. You get to say where the hardest team to beat. Them.
Yeah. It is true. That is an interesting take on that, because you kind of look at it where it's like, this wasn't for a title. This wasn't for anything in particular.
No, it's just like, we're not beating each other up just because, like, it's
well, and the odd juxtaposition of that, even too, Anthony, to your point, and then Archie, obviously to yours as well, but like we said before, it is the two most over men's stars likely on the roster, so it's for nothing, but it's for something. Then it goes to a draw, and it's like, look what it could have been if they had more time. What if they had 45 minutes? Like, it was you know what I mean? It was like it was like going to the ice cream shop and like, you're allowed to have as many samples as you like, but you can't order.
I think it would have been a more interesting situation if they hadn't wrestled before. So like if it was their first meeting and it came to a draw, to me, that makes complete sense, because then that drives you to go to see, oh, well, they're going to face each other on pay-per-view. I got to pay because we need to see a definitive winner. But since we've had that and then you got the draw, it doesn't land, to me, it doesn't land as much as if it was the other way around. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think honestly, Swerve and Ospreay is a bit like Cody Cody Roman. Like Cody Roman, for example, that's just been saved for WrestleMania. Swerve and Ospreay, it's a match that kind of should be saved for AEW's big shows and should be kind of billed as kind of the box office match in AEW right now. And they just kind of put it on a weekly show, which I guess doesn't really sit right with me, to be honest.
I mean,
but that's like the equivalent of putting Cody and Roman on. Obviously, Swerve and Ospreay is not as big.
It doesn't bother
me, but
that's a can of worms there.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's like putting Cody.
We're going to talk about Archie, the subject that. Sorry, Shad. I'm so happy I got to fill in on this show because it's the one guy I don't. When I first started on the Daily, I got to talk about this dude all the time. Somehow I'm kept away. But the best in the world, the actual best in the world, Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
But you're going to say Sin Cara.
Is on the microphone.
Or Blake Monroe.
Not only that, he throws it right in the face. Facial. You can see me. On which Sin Cara, I believe, means like faceless or whatever. Actually,
or is it that or many faces? Which one?
I think it's no face.
Okay.
Is what it means without face.
I trust you on that.
Anyway, Mystico is Sin Cara. We know that.
The original.
He said it. Max said it. He said it. He did it. You heard it. He said it. He did it on TV, and I loved it. Max being Max. Anthony, just talk to me about it. I mean, how great. Just Max being Max. Why not bother some people while you're bothering some people? It's like botherception.
Yeah. Other than Cody Rhodes, there's probably nobody that I've written about more for WR than MJF. I've been on record of saying that MJF has not had that same spark since he came back when he got his big contract. But there are spurts of it. And when he has the right bone to dig into and to bite into, he does his best stuff. When he was the international champion, became the American champion, whatever it was, he had something to bite into. This is going along the same lines, very much the JBL route of, building on the dividedness of the country. It may be the best way to put it, not to get political, but it turns into one of those type of things, and it works with this. Mystico is one that is a legend in Mexico, but most of us, anybody in the States, remembers him as Misto Botch when he was Sin Cara that botched constantly. And so I've never felt the mystique, the aura, whatever you want to call it, for Mystico. His entrance of running and jumping on the trampoline, the jump over the ropes, that was probably the best stuff he did until, but I am not overly excited for Mystico itself, but MJF's supposed to be the heel on this. I will be cheering MJF on because I don't like Mystico. So I don't know if that's the direction they want it, where it's essentially going to probably be a divided audience. Was there, I think I think the American audience, for the most part, is probably going to back MJF in this situation. But since it's taking place in Mexico, presumably Max will get the heat as he's supposed to. When Max is firing like machine guns on the mic, with Mystico had no chance. Even before the Sin Cara reference was thrown out.
And also, by the way, Just Apart confirmed it's faceless. And shout out Just Apart. Thank you for tuning in as always, man. Friend of the show. Monster shout out, no doubt.
But yeah, I mean, it would have been a mistake or a botch, if you want to call it that, if MJF didn't mention Sin Cara. He had to.
Yeah.
It's the writing's on the wall. Like it's too low hanging fruit that you cannot mention it.
Yeah.
He also said though that it bothers him doing the WWE references.
I don't.
I will address that myself though. And I actually kind of like it. I kind of like it.
I think it.
And here's why. You know why?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because no one's done it for a long time effectively in any way. So to me, I can recognize it's a little throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? And like you're hoping it sticks, and no one loves to eat pasta off the wall. But if you were to, it would be nice if it landed perfectly. And that's the way that I look at how they're doing it. It's like they're going to the zoo and they're putting their fingers in the bear cage just long enough to not get bit.
If I'm honest, I think I don't have a problem with the WWE references as long as they're done in the right way. This was done in the right way. One I did when I is a perfect example. Wasn't done in the right way is Ospreay's grinding on the boss's wife one that he made. It had
that was a bit much.
But exactly. But as long as it makes sense,
as long
as it makes sense within the story, I don't have a problem.
Listen, I think it works with MJF because he's modeled himself after Roddy Piper and CM Punk.
Yeah,
both known for doing pipe bombs and saying the things that people are thinking but are afraid to say. So when MJF does it, it's a nice little dig. It's not so much of anti-WWE rant. Like, it's not like Ricochet comes off as an axe to grind. Ospreay comes off as an axe to grind. When MJF does it, it kind of works because it's got the little shock and or even though it's not necessarily shock these days because he's done it enough, but I didn't have an issue with it. Because I think it's done in a way it fits the character and it's not, there's no agenda behind it. Does that make sense? The only agenda is to continue to promote the character, that MJF scumbag character.
Totally.
One thing I will say quickly before we move on is that I think it's quite funny that the Hurt Syndicate, we've got all the guys that were in the Hurt business, except from Cedric Alexander from WWE. And the most interesting part about the Hurt Syndicate is MJF right now, I think.
Maxwell,
like his
Jacob.
Like, I absolutely love like his like kind of father-son relationship he's got going on with Bobby Lashley. Like,
funniest
makes
thing
me
in the
laugh.
world.
Like, there was a video of Bobby doing his tie for him before they went out. And then him wearing MVP's jumpsuit.
Absolutely.
That just made me laugh. I was
Okay,
wondering why he's wearing a baggy shirt, and then he just got a massive pop out of me when he revealed it.
Let's pay some bills really quick, Arch. Give me 1 second here, and then we'll get back to you. But subscribe to our second channel, Wrestling Republic Undercard, exclusive videos, clips, and more. Better yet, you're going to get to see sold separately there. You're going to see clips from all of our shows across our entire platform, all kinds of good stuff. If you like our content at all, please go subscribe to the second channel. And then, better yet, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to a third. I apologize, but you should also subscribe to this one. Subscribe to Allison Analysis, the YouTube channel, to see Ben's 5 key findings from Raw, SmackDown, and more. That's every Tuesday and Saturday. Don't you miss it. And last but certainly not least, download the Etsy app. It doesn't matter what kind of phone you've got, the App Store or the Google Play Store. Head to the upcoming stream section. You'll see me and you. We the ones, all kinds of people. We just interviewed the one Mona today. That's actually going to be out on this platform, not Etsy, but download it. You might see her over there as well. You never know. And the best part is, as long as you got a microphone and a camera, you don't even have to turn the camera on if you don't want to show your face. But you can argue with us. I would say pack a lunch. It's going to be a good time if you want to argue with me about Cody Rhodes. But please join, and it's absolutely free. Let's keep today's show on the tracks, my friends. Let's keep rolling. It's Thekla. I knew it the whole time. Called it. Woo! Just saying. The headline, I'm a little unsure on. It goes wrong. I don't know. She just won by submission. But what is the scoop on hoops on Queen Aminata here? Because Queen Aminata is really talented. And she gets beat by every debuting wrestler in the women's division on AEW. Explain it to me, Archie. This one's on you.
So obviously, for people that don't know, there's been a lot of frustrations. Queen Aminata's had a lot of frustrations seemingly in AEW from what she said on social media. And this match kind of it went wrong. Like, it did go wrong. It was a very stiff match. You could tell something was off. You could tell it wasn't a stiff match because they were trying to make it a stiff match. You could tell there was some animosity between Thekla and Queen Aminata, and like to my knowledge, Thekla's had no issues like that in Stardom or anything like that. And I think what happened is Queen Aminata, she went out there frustrated. She wrestled the match frustrated, and she finished the match frustrated. And a lot of people probably seen a clip of Queen Aminata basically just kind of no selling the finish to the match, where Thekla basically just smacks her arm and then she just kind of rolls out of the ring and walks off normally like nothing's happened. Was it unprofessional? Yes, it was unprofessional. And you should go out there and kind of do your job and do what you're supposed to do. However, Queen Aminata is somebody that is probably one of the most interesting characters in the women's division, or AEW has in the women's division, I think. I think in the women's division, there are a lot of kind of bland, basic characters. Queen Aminata is not one of them, yet she's somebody that constantly is being used to put over wrestlers like Mariah May and Thekla that we saw today or yesterday. And if I'm being, I just finished my point quick. If I'm being honest, I completely understand. Although it was unprofessional, I completely understand Queen Aminata's frustrations. She got asked, "Is she still wrestling?" People haven't seen her for that long. That she got asked on social media, "Is she still wrestling?" And she replied with, "I honestly don't know anymore." And she comes back, makes her return to AEW TV, and is just fed to the wolves again. If I'm her, I am frustrated, and Tony Khan probably needs to have a conversation with her and say, "Look, you can't pull that stuff again." But then in the same way,
Archie.
Queen Aminata can go to him and say, "Okay, but what is the plan for me here? Because I've been here for a while now, and I'm kind of stagnating in my career." That's the thing that worries me about the women's division in AEW right now, is that there's only really two top stars, Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné. Who's going to be the one to pin those two top stars? And they're both facing each other at All In.
Listen to me here. I'm really glad you broke that down that way, because of the way that I sent it to you. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, because obviously we've joked around a lot on the show, but this is a much more serious conversation. But do you believe that Queen Aminata went into business for herself, or is this storyline?
I can't say for sure, but if it is a storyline, I think
this is a guess, by the way, too. I'm not. That's what I mean by
guess. No, I'm not.
Just want to preface it that way.
I don't pretend to be some insider or anything like that. Honestly, if it was going to be a storyline, it's a very, very well thought out storyline with Aminata kind of taking out her frustrations on social media, not even through like a post, just for a reply to someone. And then this happens. I do feel like it is very real to me. It just something felt off. You know, when sometimes a match is supposed to be stiff. Right? Gunther's, like when you watch Gunther's matches, for example, a lot of them are stiff. They look real, but Gunther's a pro, right? This one, it was a bit like watching Charlotte and Nia Jax, where it was like, something's off here. And
sometimes you have that little intuition where you're like, I don't know about the chemistry there. Like that looked like.
But the funny thing is that Queen Aminata was actually kicking Thekla's ass for a good length of the match, which I'm sure Thekla didn't want, and I'm sure maybe the creative writers didn't want either, because they want to make this big signing look good.
Maybe there was a receipt that we missed along the way.
Maybe. I mean,
now we're recklessly speculating. Remember, tinfoil hat
of course.
Time. Tinfoil hat time, guys.
Of course.
Everyone put their tinfoil hats on. Conspiracy theory time.
Yeah, of course. But I think I understand her frustrations if they are real, because she's just been kind of stayed in the same position in AEW for a while. And that's what it is with like a lot of the women's wrestlers in AEW, because it's one of those that you kind of think Mariah May.
Blake Monroe.
Blake Monroe.
Archie.
Blake Monroe probably thought to herself,
Archie.
"Am I going to be?"
What was it? No. What did you say the first time?
Well, he gave the AEW name.
Okay.
He was frustrated.
Well done.
So that one he was technically okay with.
Mariah Monroe.
That Mariah May, she probably thought to herself, "Am I really going to be the one to pin Mercedes? Am I going to be the one to pin Tony Storm? Like, are they really going to push me over these kind of people that they see as stars? Like, and I think
sounds to me
a lot
like
of
you question her self-belief, Arch. I think she should have believed that she
No,
would
it's
be
not.
the one.
It's not that. It's this also when you've been in AEW for as long as Queen Aminata has. It's kind of, I would feel the same. I feel like, where am I going? I'm staying in the same place I am in my career, and she's a really interesting character.
Shoddy backing you up here to turn this into storyline, whether it's a shoot or a work, who cares? It's just like truth. I like that.
Here's the thing with professional wrestling, and this is the whole argument with the truth thing. Whether real, whether storyline, whatever, we've seen tons of wrestling stories, real life stuff, be turned into storytelling. We've seen it a million times. Brett and Sean, storyline, legitimately hated one another. Somehow the dirt sheets got all the information. It added to it. Charlotte and Becky. It was the awkward moment with the title exchange.
Sunny days.
And yes, and everyone wondered, okay, they're going to throw some live rounds at Survivor Series when they faced each other.
Yeah.
The most iconic one, probably one of, if not the most iconic one, the Matt Hardy Edge Lita love triangle.
Oh,
yeah.
Again, real life turned into a story. WrestleMania 40. The plan was always Cody and Roman. Rock got involved. The fans had a problem with it. What happened? They pivoted back with a twist, adding the final boss to it. The Yes movement, WrestleMania 30. That wasn't the plan. Things happen in wrestling. Whether or not this can turn into something, that's another one. Whether this can turn into a storyline, Aminata, I 100% believe she probably is annoyed. And there's a lot of women in that locker room that are probably annoyed. Deonna Purrazzo has voiced issues online. We've seen a number of them. Could you turn them into storylines? Yes. Somebody who would have an axe to grind would probably be Athena. She's held the Ring of Honor women's title for what, close to 1,000 days, but no one sees it. No one recognizes it.
True.
So did it actually happen? Like a tree falling in the forest. If no one's around to see it, did it make a sound? Like I can understand the annoyance of it, but if she went into business for herself, on this, that's completely unprofessional. That's like the PCO thing, destroying the title on pay-per-view. That was not like, you don't do that. You don't take advantage of somebody because they're giving you their body. And I mean, if that's the case, I'm not saying it. If that's what happened, or if she went into business, you don't do that stuff. That's an instant fire. Like, that's not a thing.
Let's get into the main event.
Yes.
Speaking of instant fires, nobody was on fire, but I'll tell you what, diverticulitis is no joke. And neither
hell of a transition there, Clark.
Neither was that blood.
Neither was that blood Omega.
I'll tell you what. I talk to a lot of wrestling fans. I have a lot of friends that do like that. How does the blood happen or whatever? And I'm like, it's real blood. It's always real blood or whatever. I am relatively confident. I can tell you, if you were nervous, that that one was getting
blood capsule. Yeah.
But did it look great?
Spoiler alert.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You want to talk storytelling? This was outstanding. Oh my god. They killed Kenny. Yeah.
I mean, that's a go-to.
Yeah. It's exactly where I was on this one. What a wild move. I get there's speculation that this is like a new world title. They combined the two titles that we complained that they have too many titles. And now now it's one too many titles. So we still complain because it's another world title. And it's title inception at this stage, right? It's a title inside of a title. And
Isn't
I don't know how to explain
Isn't that a title? Title
I don't care if it's a second world title. We don't need to split the rosters. We don't need to decide last night. It's a good looking title, and it's Kenny versus Okada for it for the first time in 7 damn years. That's what counts. And we're going to see it from a unique perspective in a different way than we've ever seen it, because we've never seen it not in a New Japan ring. And not only that, we've never seen it with a storyline like this attached to it. As much emotion was involved in them winning the matchups that they had. it wasn't this type of a rivalry the way it is now. Archie, I'm going to go to you because honestly, I was blown away by all of this. And I think it was unfortunately overshadowed by a lot of conjecture when it came to the new title. And that's a shame to me because this is as good as you can ask for as a big time wrestling fan.
Yeah, I completely agree. For me, it wasn't overshadowed by the title. I saw the title, I was like, new title, and moved on with the segment like any kind of normal wrestling fan should. What I loved, I love how they handled Kenny and Okada's match so far. This has been one of the most famous rivalries, not just outside of WWE, but in wrestling in general. Okada and Kenny is just kind of their timeless dance partners. And I loved the video package they played. I feel like that kind of shows viewers that aren't as familiar with not only AEW, but maybe not New Japan, Okada and Kenny's rivalry. And AEW don't tend to do that sometimes, but they nailed it here. So I loved the video package before. It kind of really hyped up this final segment of the first 2 hours. And I love what Kenny was saying. I love that he kind of showed Okada respect as he should do from all they've been through together. And he kind of just said, it's just me and you for this title, and just kind of let's put on a show. And although I've voiced my frustrations with Don Callis being involved in literally everything to do with Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay over the past year, this time it did make sense, or not at least made sense. It at least added more fire to this rivalry, which it needed. Obviously, Okada with the swerve, thinking that Kenny was being shown respect by Okada, and he just took Don Callis, Kenny out. The blood capsule, that's probably one of the best uses of a blood capsule I've seen in wrestling ever, if not for a very, very
arguably
long time.
ever. Honestly, I was like, oh no, Kenny can do anything.
Yeah,
like the sell was incredible.
Oh yeah, Kenny's like he's wrestling's Terminator. Like nothing can put him down, nothing can stop him, which is obviously very apt. But he's somebody that I love that they're making this very real health scare he had a part of this storyline, because obviously if Kenny's fine with it, blurring the lines like this makes you more invested and more emotionally invested, especially as someone that's been a big fan of Kenny and probably thought that he was going to be taken away from our screens for pretty much ever in wrestling.
Archie, I love the way that you broke that down, and I'm in so much agreement too. We've got Shad in the comments. He was originally supposed to host the show, so I got to give him some time here. Mm-hmm. The vignette to this was amazing, and that, Anthony, I wanted to mention to you because there's also been, and you mentioned it yourself, Archie, the vignette was outstanding.
Yes.
If you were unfamiliar, you are now. That was the highlight of it to me. But Anthony, before I toss it to you, what I wanted to say is, there's been a lot of criticism about AEW and the lack of storytelling when it comes to vignettes and whatnot. This one landed. They're in a difficult situation, tape library wise, and all of that, showing highlights of other superstars, right? Like you can't show Edge and Christian, and you have both on the roster. You can't show Dean Ambrose. You know what I mean? And you have him on the roster. This was really cool because you were able to really understand, if you didn't already. Obviously we do, but I was blown away by it. And I want to get your thoughts on that as well as the whole thing.
Yeah. I absolutely love the vignette. This is one of those things that I constantly complain about AEW when they bring somebody in, especially from Japan. And they have these relationships with these companies. I'm like, you need to get the footage, or you should try to get the footage, or at least do a vignette to explain who this person is. Don't just put them out there and just assume people know it. The Okada Omega video I thought was so well done. The line that stuck with me that I loved was, rivals always find a way to find each other. I thought that was such a great line, because you think of rivalries like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn cross different companies over the years, and they've always come back to one another. I thought that was great. In the week of vignettes, I know this is not directly tied to this, but I want to make it a point because I don't know when else I would discuss this. I love the vignettes or the video packages that WWE did for AAA during Worlds Collide, that told the story of AAA for people that didn't know.
Yeah.
When you do those type of videos, that educates an audience, and also longtime fans that know the story like to reminisce. So there really is no negative by doing that. I think
to your point, you hit the nostalgia button.
Yes,
and a lot of people miss that
throwback, if you will.
Back to what you're saying, but yes,
I am an expert on throwback, which at some point that will return. To tease that again, but I like the belt. I love the look of the belt. Hate the name of it. When you think unified, you think world title. If you did unified, international classic or something, combining the names, I think that would work. Just calling it unified muddies the waters a little bit when you have technically one world title. Technically, the Ring of Honor world title is floating there with somebody. I don't even remember who has it at this point. But I liked it. Taking the real life Kenny situation with his health, that's the right move to do, because not only is it believable, just like when Austin had the bad neck, they would always tease the neck. If you went back and watched
the knees,
every time that somebody tried to power drive Austin after it, it always ended in a back body drop. Always. I think only once he took it after that. But like
Tombstone's the only one he took.
Yeah, but I think he took
no pile driver wise, he only took one Tombstone is what it is.
Well, I think didn't he take one from Kevin Owens? I know we're getting sidetracked, but I think
KO. That was in like 2018.
Yeah.
You mean 30 years after the fact? Jeez Louise, Ant.
But that's the only one he took.
You had my history mind working.
Yes. So, but just as a whole, with this whole thing, you got to take that real life scenario in here. It adds to the believability of it. It adds credibility to it. And also, on a side note, we sort of know about diverticulitis because of Brock and because of him. But when you mention stuff like this,
know how serious it is.
It does educate the audience to the point where they may research it. It may help somebody. I'm not saying it's going to, but it's possible. When you talk about something like that, it could, hey, you know what? This has been bothering me, or whatever. Like maybe it could help somebody. You don't know. It makes for a great storyline to take the real life story. I've always been a big fan of blurring the lines and trying to make that stuff work.
I love that. And let's let that take us into the end of the show on a high note, because sincerely, it was a heck of a journey to get here. Mazzer, shout out, Shoddy. I know you were supposed to be on this microphone, not me. You're the man. We apologize. Technical stuff. I don't know what a cyber attack is. I just learned about it today. I don't like it. I don't know.
Clark was, I love
why are they doing that?
I love
Clark
the space. I love the
what
space
did we
safe
do?
line.
We just wanted to talk about wrestling at noon.
Clark was very concerned about our streak ending because this was episode 899, I believe, right, Clark?
Still alive.
It's 898.
Okay.
We're there. We're almost to 900 episodes. I mean, look, thank you everybody that tuned in, and thank you everybody that's tuned in all along the way. Like and subscribe. All those channels I advertised earlier, please do the same. We appreciate you so much. Have a great Thursday. We'll be back at the regular time tomorrow in the same place.
Jeez.
No, forget it. Regular time, same place, noon Pacific. That's of course 3 o'clock in the East Coast, 8 o'clock in the UK, and 9 a.m. for my friends in Hawaii. On behalf of me, Clark Taylor, Anthony Ricciardi, the big Arch himself, Archie Carter, and all of us at WR. Have a great Thursday. We will talk to you soon.